Hello gentlemen, today we're going to be doing a brake service on the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. We're going to be changing out the brake pads and bleeding the brake fluid. Here are the items I've purchased to do this. I got this off of Hitchcocks. This is the Ferrado rear brakes right here, part number BP1025. This is BP1023, the front brakes from Ferrado, brake pads. This is a one-way brake bleeder valve. It's part number 98343 on Hitchcocks, and that should make it bleeding its fluids out real fast. So, and I got some .4 brake fluid. But before I start, check this out. Show the new garage. I spent a couple months finishing this out myself. It's ran the electric, insulated it, drywalled it, painted it, put up a nice accent wall there, replaced my plastic shelves. So I spent too much time in here and not have it nice. So, all right, so let's get started on the rear brakes first. All right, guys, let's see how fast we can do this. We're going to start with the rear brakes, and what I'm going to do is the rear brake pads and then the front brake pads, and then I'll bleed them both out after that. So to start out with rear brakes, these are easier than the front. We're just going to pull this pin out and this pin, and then we're going to push this this pin all the way through, and that's just actually what's holding the brakes in. So I'm going to do that. Hopefully this pin comes out pretty easy. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, it's going to be real easy. Piece of cake. These brakes don't look too beat at all. Alright. Alright, I don't know if you can tell the difference here. The old ones are a different color, even on the metal, and they're worn down a little bit. They're not too bad though, but I'll go ahead and swap them out anyway. Alright guys, when you're putting these in, there's like a little shelf in the front of the caliper. You just like slide the pad up in and just set this part right here in the shelf, and then swing it back up so that it's this hole is aligned with that there. So, all right, guys. So I got the pads seated pretty easy. They're a little bit tight, but if you kind of get them wedged in there and you can turn the wheel, like just turn it and it like help push them farther back in. You can use that to help seat them. But before I put this pin back in, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, and I'm going to put some anti-seize on it. So I just use some PB Blaster because it's good enough to get a screw out. It's probably good enough to remove whatever else is on there. You can use your solvent of choice, and then I put a little bit of Permatex anti-seize on it. So it looks like the pins are pretty much, the pads are aligned with the hole correctly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shove this in here. And this has two holes in it. Make sure that they're like facing the same way that they were, so you could put the retaining pins back in. There you go. That went super easy. All right, so let's pin back in. I'm just going to slide the two clips in. All right, two clips are back in. That's how easy it is to change the rear brake pads. Move on to the front now. All right, guys, so we're at the front here. We're going to change the pads, and you're going to be tempted to just try and change them the same way you did the back pads by just slipping the stuff in there. I'm telling you right now, just take the calipers off completely and do it. You'll save yourself a lot of time and hassle. These are the two bullets you want to remove first, and this is a 1/2, but it'll take a number 13 also. And you're going to want to slide something up here that you can work on. I got like a storage bin here. I'm just going to, after I take the caliper off, I'm just going to set it on there and work on it. All right, so I got the caliper off. What you want to do is just take a look at it first and note the alignment of different things. There's a clip up here that may or may not fall out while you're working. Just kind of check that out. And this is the pin here, same as in the rear, that we're going to be working on to actually remove the brakes. So just kind of look at it, note how it's together. All right, so I have pulled this pin out like this. So it looks like it's only one of them, and it's like right here. And next step is to poke something through here and get this pin out. And if you've never done this on your bike before, this might be an effort to get this thing to go through, but we'll see. Okay, I actually had to use like a little baby screwdriver and a mallet to pop this pin through. They're pretty good, but it's pretty loose now, so let's see if it just comes out. Yep, all right. So next up is just kind of pull the brake pads out. Now remember that clip in there, just pay attention to it up here. Gonna want to do stuff, so. Alright. Alright guys, so I did a comparison on my brakes. They weren't actually used that hard. They're a little bit uneven in some places, but they're still good. So next step is to push the new brakes in and keep an eye on that clip that's in there that keeps wanting to move around. You're just going to want to line them up in the clip and get them ready for the pin. Alright guys, so I went ahead and cleaned and lubed that pin, slid it back through here. I'm just going to push it back in. And also, don't forget to do the maintenance on the pins. I know it's kind of like banal, but the first time I ever pulled these out, it was super hard. And since then, I've been like treating them, and they've been much easier to get. It's been much easier to get these pins out. So I'll find a way to get this pin seated all the way. All right. Also, while you're pushing this pin in, don't forget there is a hole in the pin, and you want to make sure that you're able to slide the cotter pin back through. So make sure it's visible in the right area, so you can slide stuff through. Alright guys, so this was kind of a pain in the butt to get back in. So what I did to get this pin back in, because it's like got a little snappy thing on it and it's pretty rough, I seated it so that I made sure that this hole was straight up and down. And I took a set of channel locks, just wrapped around and pressed on the part that was poking out here, and just kind of pushed it through as far as it would go. And then I took a hammer and I just tapped it lightly so it was flush, and that actually went pretty well. And then I took this like star screwdriver, I just kind of held it on this thing here and wedged it, and then I just tapped to this side with a hammer until the hole became fully visible. It was already kind of visible, I just needed to move just a little bit so I could fit the pin in, and that's basically how I got it completely seated. So now we're going to go ahead and put this back onto the rotor here. Alright dudes, so I got this thing back over the rotors, kind of a tight fit there with the new brakes, new brake pads. So I'm going to align it and then just put these screws back in. They go back in at 45 Newton meters of torque. Alright guys, so these are back on, locked down to 45 Newton meters. These two clips both gave up the ghost on me. They're too brittle, so I went ahead and just put some electrical tape around them, which will probably last longer than they did for now. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and start the bleeding process of these brakes. Alright guys, so here's the first discrepancy on this thing. It says to attach the small hose to the side of the valve with the arrow is pointing towards, and it came assembled the other way. And according to the instructions, it would be, the valve would be situated like this. Like if it's a one-way valve, I want the stuff to go this way out from, I feel like it's assembled correctly the way it came. Because I want the, according to this little arrow here, I don't know if you can see it or not, I want the fluid to be able to come through and nothing come back. So I don't have to keep working a wrench on the bleeder valve, I can just work the brakes. So, but you know what, I guess we're going to experiment here because directions say one way, it's already assembled the other way, so I'll just try it like this and we'll see what happens. Alright guys, I have removed the cats from the area because I feel like a giant mess is about to be made, and brake fluid's pretty corrosive and poisonous. First step is going to be to open this up and get access to the reservoir. Hope nothing comes out when I do this. Alright. That screw does not feel like it was in there straight. Hope it goes back in. got here. Alright. Yeah, it's filled pretty much to the brim. It's about ready to come out, just barely there, but that's good. Bike's at a slight angle, so, or it's bike's straight up, but this is at a slight angle because of that, so it's like it's just perfect though. So. Alright dude, so I have attached the small end to the nipple. You're supposed to put a little, it comes with a little clamp thing you can put on there, but I don't think it's going to do anything or help. And I have the valve here with the arrow flowing this way, and this end here is going to go into a little bottle, and that's the way it came assembled. It's the opposite of the way the directions say to do it, so it's a little experiment. That's a smart thing to do. So I've got like an 11/16, or I'm sorry, not 11/16, but number 11. I'm just going to open this nipple and do a few pumps and verify whether it's one way, the correct way or not. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open in there. Alright, can see stuff coming out. I'm going to go with it's definitely making a mess, that's for sure. As expected. Let me take this thing down a little bit. Alright, so it looks like some fluid is coming through. Yeah, there's some coming through. The reservoir is still pretty full. This thing does not look right. Let me try some over here. I feel like there shouldn't be a whole bunch of air in there. Definitely air coming out. Alright. I feel like this one-way valve is going the other way. So let me reverse it, do it the way the instructions said to do it. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff backing up here now. Alright. Alright, so I reversed it, tried it the other way, and it just didn't work at all. So I feel like the way it came assembled is the right way. So I'm going to go ahead and continue topping off the reservoir on top and pumping the handle and just see if this thing actually does the correct job or not. Alright, it seems to be working. I'm like pumping it, and I think it's just had a crap ton of air in it when I started. I don't know, that's what it seems like. It seems to be going through the one-way valve. A lot of air coming out, and it's definitely emptying the reservoir as I do this. So, I don't know if you can see all those bubbles in there, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. I have to check the valve thing there. I have to check the nipple, make sure it's tight enough here. Alright. I don't know if this thing just doesn't work right or if I'm just doing it wrong, but I have resorted to doing it the old-fashioned way where you just do a pump of the brakes, release the valve or the nipple for a second, and then tighten it back up, and then release, repump, hold it, loosen the valve, and just keep repeating until it's emptying the fluid out. This thing, yeah, there's definitely stuff coming out of it, but I'm not sure. It's either I'm not doing it right or it's just not working. So, all right. So I looked at the instructions a little bit better, and it does say after you've pumped it for a while, just start doing it the manual way, just to make sure. So, or the old-fashioned way where you just squeeze it and manipulate the nipple manually. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. So I am holding the brake down right now, and man, I can tell the difference already because there's a huge amount of brake pressure where there wasn't any before. So I'm holding it, and I'm going to loosen the nipple while I'm holding the brake down, and then tighten it back up. And now I'm going to release the brake, and I'm going to pull it again, and I'm going to crack the nipple. And And these brakes feel like 100 times better, so it definitely had air in there. Like a lot. Alright, I'm just going to keep doing this for a little while until I'm certain it's cycled through all the old stuff, and I think it probably has, but yeah, I think the thing is helpful, but it's not the whole deal. You still have to do it the old way a little bit, so I guess that's the final verdict on that. And also, it was assembled correctly in the package. The instructions were wrong. Alright, so I went ahead and I finished doing the pumping. I'm satisfied to have all the air out, in which there was a tremendous amount, and I could tell, and the brakes are way better. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and clean this up, because I got brake fluid. Just the expected mess materialized, and I'm going to seal up the top canister up there, the reservoir. Alright, got the cap back on a little bit, and I hand tightened the screws. Just go ahead and put this back in. Hit the brake caliper area with a generous helping of brake clean. This screw just does not look right to me. I don't know what it's doing. We'll find out here in a second. That's where it came from. Looked like that coming out too, so let's see. Oh, it was misthreaded. It went back into the same bad threads. Alright. Alright, I think that is the front brake done, and there is a huge difference in the brakes right now, so I'm happy I did that. Now let's go on to the rear brakes and do the same thing. Alright guys, so this is the rear brake reservoir. I went ahead and wrapped a rag around it. There's actual paint around this one if I mess it up. So I'm taking the cap off. Okay, so underneath here is a little plastic thing with a black stopper thing under it. You take that whole thing out and that goes, it should be in the cap like that. So now I have access to the fluid. Alright, so this is the location of the rear nipple. I'm using a number 8 wrench on this one. I'm using an 11 on the front. And I'm going to go ahead and hook up the one-way valve to this and get ready to start pumping the brakes. Alright, got it attached. Go ahead and crack this nipple a little bit. I think it's really in there. Alright, there we go. Alright. So pump the brakes. Alright, so this bleeder valve is in there pretty good. So I hit it with some PB blaster. I'm just going to give it some time. I'll come back and try it again in a minute and I'll strip it out. Alright guys, I got it loosened up. I used some of that PB blaster on it, and I went ahead and gripped it a little bit with a channel lock so I wouldn't like tear up the hexing on it, and just kind of worked it, and it just budged a little bit, and now it's good. So I'm going to go ahead and it should be loose right now, I think. Yep, so I'm gonna pump it and see what happens. Alright. Yep, okay, it's working. Air coming out of there. Alright, so that's first load of air and brake fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and refill the reservoir and keep going. Alright, I'm having like a much better experience on this rear brake than I did on the front one with this one-way valve. So I'm gonna give it like an A, I think. I think what was throwing me on the front one was how much air came out, and it was hard for me to believe that was actually coming out of my brakes. I thought it was coming from somewhere else or something was going on, so yeah, I think it works pretty good. Alright, I think I'm gonna do the final finishing moves on this here. So it's closed right now. I'm putting pressure on the brake. Close. Pressure on the brake. Pressure on the brake. Alright. A lot of air came out of this one too. I'm hoping that was what my rear brakes needed because they were really trash. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and top off the reservoir again. I think I've put a lot of brake fluid through it. I think I'm good. So I'm going to clean everything up. And it's time to test. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and take her for a quick spin around the block and I will see how good the brakes are. Alright guys, so I'm back with the results of the test ride. Before I started this process, the front brakes were pretty mushy. I could pull back the handle about 3/4 before they kicked in. And now it's like completely firm and the brakes are amazing. The front brakes are really good. The rear brakes, still pretty bad. I can feel them trying to stop me a little bit when I'm rolling or when I'm riding. Like they kind of work a little bit, but they're not super good. They're better than they were though. So I'll call them a partial success. And the front brakes, total success. And as far as the one-way brake bleeder hose valve, I'm gonna say that thing's good. That thing's good. I think it threw me at first because so much air was coming out of my brake line. I thought something was wrong, but yeah, by the time I got the hang of it, it was awesome. So saved me a lot of time. All right, guys, that's the process. Thanks for staying with me. Have a good one.